Salting the paint was not an option. The paint wasn't moving, so it had already been on the canvas for too long, so I scraped off the one half because this half still seemed pretty, and I used the same green on the other side, the same green mixture I made with the original white. And now I'm going to, and then I poured out the other colours, but far too much came out. I was in such a desperate hurry that I just made a big mess, so let's see what happens. Really better. This is far too much colour on the canvas now. There's enormous blooms. The centre, unfortunately. Well, it forms an abstract leafy green bush, I think. And so I'm going to just leave it like that for now. And let it settle and dry. There are some big cells where there was leftover paint in the centre that I could remove. And there as well. But for the most part, it's definitely looking better than it was before. Although obviously I lost my beautiful design. Painting has dried overnight, and I've managed to successfully eradicate all of that cloud pore. There are some little bits of white here, but they're actually very tiny cells, that there are just so many of them that they've clumped together, and it looks like a big white cell to me from a distance, but it's actually not. And up here as well. So they're just the right size for cells. You don't want them bigger than that. So those are the leftover ones. But of course, the painting does have a lovely sheen from all the metallics. But it's not exactly how I wanted it, that's for sure. And I could leave it as it is. The leaves are just, large abstract leaves. It's just a large abstract green and gold and copper botanical painting. But I want to shape it into something more. Now, in South Africa, in the Western Cape, there are flowers called strelitzia, which may not be familiar to other people in other continents, but they have large, pointy orange petals, quite a few, and then some of the petals are a deep, sort of bluish purpley colour, smaller ones towards the core. And they have, depending on the variety, because there can be plants that are grown in pots, they have smaller leaves, and then the outdoor ones have really large banana-like type leaves, which are just large and leathery and have a vein going a pale vein going through the center. The indoor ones seem to have smaller, sort of more oval-shaped leaves. So I'm going to turn this into a strelitzia. And I'm not going to paint away the background. I'm just going to make the leaves more defined and then add in some strelitzias where there is already orange and the copper mixture. Maybe I'll add a few more. So that's what I'm going to do now. I've added some phthalo green to the little bit of phthalo green that I had left in the container, so it's not so runny, so I can try and paint upright. And I'll start with where shall I start? I'll start with this leaf, which has a shape which I can just make out the markings, and that's a perfect strelitzia shape leaf. And I'm using a filbert brush. The paint comes off quite thin and not solid, so it has a nice, you can see the sort of distinct variation in the shades of the green. And I can just drag it in a little bit so that it's not so like a line. I like the greens that are there. I don't want to cover them up, so I might wipe away some of this, depending on how it looks when it's dry. So one just never knows. And I can see there's another one there. So the background I'll just leave. I mean, I could paint it away at the pale green, even with the white. The white that I scraped off and I added into a jar. And all those colours together are in the jar. You can see I just scraped them out, I didn't bother to stir them in. But now I'm stirring them in and they are just being, let's see, are they being swallowed up by the white? Or is it turning into a pale green? It's turning into a pale green. So if I spread this on with a paintbrush, it wouldn't form cells. And I could use it for the background, but I'm not going to. I think I'm just going to leave the leaves with the background paint as they are. So it's turned into a minty green. I might try and use it in another painting where I deliberately want to do a cloud pour, and then it probably won't be a cloud pour, but I'll try. I'll see it on a smaller canvas. I didn't like what I had there. I took the wet wipe and I wiped away, dragged some of that phthalo green into the leaf, and that looked a bit better. So I really liked the phthalo green and I really wanted it to be emphasized in this painting, and of course it isn't now. So I'm smudging this one as well, which I've done, to just make it look more natural. And so the strelitzia comes in front of the leaves, and that's just perfect for the amount of coppery orange that I have there. I went ahead and outlined all the leaves, and now I'm going to just wipe them away with the wet wipe. And some I couldn't really see, and then I just made them up. And some, like this one, is so large, but it's so pretty. It could be 2 leaves or 3 leaves, but it's the inside, the colour mix is so lovely that I'm going to just leave it as it is. And the background of some places is also really lovely. And it all has such a lovely sheen that, I mean, here I could add a bit more green, but I could just paint a strelitzia over that. And the strelitzia is really pretty because it almost looks like a bird in flight. So there will be no need to add a bird in this painting, as I had originally intended. So yeah, I was saying, now that I've mixed the colours that I wiped away, the white and all the other colours that were on the canvas, it's formed a kind of a pale green, but it's not really mixed completely well. So on the outside it still looks white. And if I pour it out, I might be able to make a cloud pour. I don't know, I've no idea. I've never really done a cloud pour. And but if I just painted it on with a paintbrush, it wouldn't form cells, I don't think. So I could just use it for that. I'll see. I'll try it out on a small. I think it improves the painting overall. Too much green on here. Now I'm wiping it all away. I'll have to come back with some colour there. Or maybe not, maybe that will be enough. Anyway, maybe a strelitzia will go over there. Still a bit too dark there. A bit too dark there. And so I'll continue. Well, that's the first one, and I think it's quite nice. I do think they're very beautiful. It really is amazing, a unique looking flower. They just have more of a point there. I need to make more of a point in them. And with this iridescent orange yellow, it's It's quite translucent, so it's leaving the colours underneath to show through, which is nice. I'm not going to do another layer over it. In fact, it's even I'm even tempted not to do the blue purple part, but that will complete the look, so I will do that. Now I'll do another one here, and maybe another one down here. I don't want to do too many. Those are the initial blooms, and they do make such a difference. They really are beautiful. And now with a bit of the purple pearlescent, well, no, it's not pearlescent, it's just metallic purple, hypermetallic purple it's called. And there are just a few of these bluish purple flowers, petals in the center of the flower. So I'm going to first paint on the purple, and then I'm going to add a bit of phthalo blue over those just to darken them. So you don't want them to take over. But they do add a definite center and interest, and they're much smaller than the other petals. Since this is such a big one down here, I'll make them a little bigger. It's going to look quite lovely in the end. So from a disaster, one can create something spectacular. Now with this very deep dark blue, probably Prussian blue, I'm going to just go over those purple parts a little. Just put that on, and then I'll come back and blend it in. This is liquid paint, and it's a very interesting mix how nature mixes these colours together. That's actually the colour that I saw in the photograph. Of course, when you're looking in photographs, it's hard to know what the original colour is. And I remember seeing a darker part on the orange, but it's a long time ago. And I haven't seen any strelitzias around here. I don't think they grow here. Maybe they do. We're in the Western Cape, they could grow here. Same climate. So I'm still painting. I don't know if I need to come back and join these stems up. It's not clear that there is a stem. Well, they're coming off the stem, and the stem is behind it, so I think I can make it. I think that makes a lovely painting, and I could never have known that the white would turn into such a big pile of clouds that would swallow everything up. But it's okay. I had actually been thinking about painting strelitzia, but I wanted to do this green blowout that was just going to be a bloom without any structure, just a regular bloom, and in these green and turquoise colors. So that was disappointing, but nonetheless I'm happy with how it's turned out. Now I've killed two birds with one stone. I've done a paw and the strelitzia at the same time. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it gives you ideas, and to realize that you don't ever have to toss a painting. You can always do something with it. There's always something hidden in that painting, some potential. Even without the strelitzias, once I had defined these leaves, it looked quite nice, and then wiped away so that they weren't so distinctly outlined. And you can see all the green inside is just sort of being revitalized by these colors that I've added in. So again, thank you for watching, and please like and comment. Bye for now.